Hello guys, we are going to start a video series for class 11, the beginners after passing or appearing class 10 examinations. You are supposed to start with language of chemistry. And from my experience, I know that students, they do not master over this part of chemistry, what we call language of chemistry, basic concepts in chemistry. They go ahead with other aspects of physical and organic chemistry, but they are very, very poor in the language part and the basic concepts part. So I will be making a continuous video series on language of chemistry and followed by basic concepts in chemistry. Although the language of chemistry that we are going to start today, you have already learned in your class 9. But let us start in a perspective of a class 11 student. And let us revise also. Since you will be continuing this journey with me, perhaps, then let us start from the beginning. So, you have to very meticulously follow me to complete this chapter, that is language of chemistry followed by basic concepts in chemistry. And I assure you, if you do it in a very ceremonious manner, pausing the video at the time when you need and then solving the assignments given, or to replay a particular part if you have not understood properly. If you do it and follow in a regular manner, then I think you will be very, very sound in chemistry. So, why to make any delay, let us start the first chapter, that is language of chemistry, chapter 1, that is valency and chemical formula of ionic compounds. Now, when we talk about formula, you have to know there are two types of formula. One is called empirical formula and the other one is called molecular formula. Molecular formula is meant for molecules which can exist in molecular forms, and that happens for a covalent substance. A covalent substance that happens, like carbon dioxide, ammonia, nitric acid, sulfuric acid, nitrous oxide, and all these, even elemental substances like nitrogen, ozone, and so on and so forth, they have molecules at their independent existence and hence molecular formula. These are all covalent substances. But if you are talking of an ionic compound, we will be focusing on ionic compounds in this lecture. Ionic compounds, they do not have any molecule. Therefore, the formula that we speak of often, molecular formula, but actually it's not molecular formula, it is really empirical formula. Then what is empirical formula? It represents the simplest whole number ratio between positive and negative ions in an ionic compound. Or if it is a covalent compound, then the simplest whole number ratio between the atoms of each element. For example, in ionic compounds like sodium chloride, calcium oxide, calcium fluoride, potassium oxide, aluminum sulfate, these are not molecular formula. These are actually empirical formula. Sometimes we are tempted to say molecular formula, but no, NaCl is not a molecule, it's a formula unit, empirical formula unit. So also calcium oxide. And often we have a habit of not showing the charge in a empirical formula. We write NaCl as sodium chloride, but actually we should have given +1 and -1. Similarly, this is 2 plus and 2 minus. And this is 2 plus and each fluoride 1 minus. So you should have given the charges, because these compounds exist as ions even in the solid state. But we have got the permission, the liberty not to make the formula clumsy and avoid writing charge. So we don't write charge over the ions, but we will never ever forget these are ionic compounds and they exist as ions, positive and negative ions. But we continue to perpetuate the habit of not putting the charges, but not forgetting that they have their charges. But covalent compounds can have both. Some of the organic compounds, the big molecules where large number of carbon, hydrogen and other atoms are there, they can have both empirical as well as molecular. For example, glucose, C6H12O6. It is the molecular formula. It exists as a molecule, it's a covalent molecule. So molecular formula. But if you simplify them, of all the elements, divide by 6, you get a simpler formula that we can call empirical formula of glucose, CH2O, and multiplying with 6, the empirical formula is converted to molecular formula. This empirical formula is not of as important as for ionic compounds. It is only important to find out the molecular formula from the percentage composition of the compound, the elemental composition of the compound, which we shall be discussing in details in our subsequent program. Let us focus on ionic compounds and how to write correct formula. Now, ionic compounds can also have covalent bonds. For example, ionic compounds containing polyatomic ions, say sodium phosphate. So this is an ionic compound. Basically, it is an ionic compound. They contain ions. So it contains sodium ion and phosphate ion. And this is a polyatomic ion. In polyatomic ions, the atoms are bonded by covalent bond. So just I am doing for fun. We shall be studying bonding in a greater details. So if I draw the formula of phosphate ion, you will find these are covalent bonds. These are covalent bonds. So although it is an ionic compound, it can also have covalent bonds. Right? Because these are non-metals. Non-metals are bonded by covalent bonds. You shall be knowing that later. If you have already known, well and good. Then what is the modern definition of valency? Valency, let us start with electrovalency. In ionic compounds, the valency is electrovalency. We call valency, but it is truly electrovalency. It is the number of electrons lost or gained by an atom or a group of atoms. I mean, while I call group of atoms, I mean polyatomic ions like sulfate ion, phosphate ion, nitrate ion, and so on and so forth. Previously, we were calling them as radicals. Acid radicals, basic radicals. So this radical term is misleading now because radical has a different meaning. So let us refrain ourselves to address these polyatomic ions or even monoatomic ions as radicals. At least let us not do that. Let us change our habit of saying acid radicals and basic radicals. We can say positive ions and negative ions. We can say acid parts, basic parts, not radicals. So for example, sodium ion. Sodium has lost one electron to become sodium ion. Therefore, the valency of sodium ion is 1 plus. Similarly, oxygen has gained 2 electrons to form oxide ion. So the valency of oxide ion is 2 minus. Similarly, for a polyatomic ion like sulfate ion, if you look to the original acid structure, never mind if you are not able to understand the structure of the covalent structure of the acid, forget about it. We are not discussing chemical bond. Now what happens when this bond breaks, ionization happens, then this 2 electron and this 2 electron, they come to oxygen. So oxygen acquires an extra electron on this side, -1, and another extra electron from this side, -1. So altogether the charge is 2 minus. Therefore, sulfate is 2 minus. The valency of sulfate ion is 2 minus. You understood? So not that we have to memorize, cram all these valencies. It has got a logic. Once you understand the logic, why the valency of sulfate is 2 minus? Because it has come from sulfuric acid, H2SO4. So sulfuric acid, after losing 2 protons, 2 hydrogen ions, it will form SO4 2 minus. So later on in our subsequent program, we will talk about covalency. Just like in ionic compounds, we call it electrovalency. In covalent, purely covalent molecules, you have covalency, and that is determined for a single atom. It is the number of electrons an atom in a covalent molecule share with other atoms. With other atoms. I'm so sorry. With other atoms in a covalent molecular ion. For example, just for the sake of fun, I am telling you. So for example, the structure of carbon dioxide is this. So there is a double bond on either side. So this is carbon's electron, this is oxygen electrons. This is carbon electrons, this is oxygens. Carbon, oxygen, carbon, oxygen. Now, if I ask you what is the covalency of carbon, you will say 4, because carbon has shared 4 of its own electron with others. Therefore, the covalency of carbon is 4, the number of electrons shared by an atom. Similarly, if I draw the structure of sulfate ion as we already did, of course it's not an ideal structure. I have left out the lone pairs, forget about them. Now tell me what is the covalency of sulfur. Just I give you 30 seconds to think. You can pause it. Undoubtedly, this is a double bond. For example, this is a single bond, this is a single bond, and this is a double bond. So how many electrons sulfur has shared? Undoubtedly 6 electrons. 2 here, 2 here, 1 plus 1, 2. So the covalency of sulfur is 6. Covalency of carbon is 4. So more about this we will discuss later. Let us now focus on the different positive ions and negative ions that constitute an ionic compound. Let me remind you the different possible monovalent positive ions. Only 2 belong to the category of nonmetals. They are made up of nonmetals, which are to be noted with all caution. That hydrogen ion and ammonium ion. It is a polyatomic ion but having valency 1 plus. But all others are metal ions. Sodium, potassium, lithium, rubidium, cesium, all the alkali metals belonging to group 1, 1 plus. And mercurous, this is a peculiar symbol, Hg2, 2 plus. Often in your lower level, you have a habit of writing Ag1 plus, mercurous, or nowadays called mercury 1. I'll tell you what is that called. Mercurous, mercury 1, because it has got another variable valency, mercuric. or mercury 2. Now, this is okay for students up to class 10. But when you are in class 11, you have no permission to write Hg1 plus, Hg2 2 plus. And that means for 1 mercury, the charge is 1 plus. Why? Because mercurous ion remains as a dimer. Two mercurous ions, they are clubbed together, they form a mercurous dimer. This bond is there and 2 plus. You will know later on why mercurous ion has a tendency to form a dimer. Two mercurous Hg plus, they unite by a bond to form a dimer. So let us from now onwards write mercurous not as Hg plus but Hg2 2 plus. Cuprous is 1 plus, that is copper 1. In some compounds, particularly cuprous halides, you can also write Cu2 2 plus like mercurous, but not in all compounds. But in some compounds of cuprous, it is dimeric, it remains as a dimer. Supposing cuprous chloride, Cu2 Cl2. But it's not the case with all compounds of cuprous. But mercurous, yes, it remains as a dimer, Hg2 2 plus. Then gold 1, that is called aurous. Gold 3, that is auric, is in valency 3 plus. Silver 1 plus. Chromium 1, it's not chromous, it is chromium 1. Chromium can also remain in +1 state. Ammonium already we have done. Bivalent or divalent, we can also call divalent, same as bivalent, 2 plus or plus plus. All the alkaline earth metals, metal ions like magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, and other ions, transition metal ions like zinc, cadmium, nickel, palladium, platinum, both of them show variable valency 2 plus and 4 plus. Mercuric, we had discussed mercurous, this is mercuric or mercury 2. Cobaltous, cobalt 2. Stannous, tin 2. Ferrous, iron 2. Plumbous, lead 2. That is manganous, manganese 2. Chromous, chromium 2. Trivalent, 3 plus or plus plus plus. Aluminium, gallium, scandium, thallium, vanadium. Vanadium has another valency, 5 plus. Bismuth. Gold, we already have discussed. Auric, that was aurous, this is auric. It's gold 3. Arsenous, that is arsenic 3. Arsenic is 5 plus. Antimonous, antimony 3. Cobaltic, because already we have done cobaltous, cobaltic or cobalt 3. Already you have done iron 2, that is ferrous, this is ferric, iron 3. Manganic or manganese 3. Tetravalent 4 plus, this is tannic. Stannous was, tin 2 was 2 plus, and this is tannic 4 plus. Similarly, plumbic, lead 4, this is tin 4, this is lead 4, Pb 4 plus. Platinum 4 plus, that is platinic, platinum 4. Palladium 4, Pd 4 plus. Pentavalent are a handful few. Arsenic 5 or arsenic, antimony 5 or antimonic, vanadium 5. Now, because a single metal exhibited so many valencies, for example, manganese 2 plus, 3 plus, 4 plus, 5 plus, 6 plus, 7 plus. So it was therefore thought not to use the suffix "-us" and "-ic", manganous, manganic, restricted to only 2 states, 2 valencies. So therefore, nowadays we are not using "-us" and "-ic". We are not using "-us" and "-ic" suffixes, right? We are using the stock notation. You see, stock notation, where we use the English name of the metal, not ferrum, iron, not auric or aurous, it is gold, not mercurous, not hydrargyrum, but mercury. So we are using the English name suffixed with its valency in Roman. I, like that in Roman. For example, we are calling ferrous, now we are calling iron 2. We are calling auric, we are now calling gold 3. Mercurous, now we are calling mercury 1, and so on and so forth. These are called stock notations. So us and ik suffixes have been obsolete now. Right? So let us look to negative ions. Sometimes we call it acidic part because they have come from their corresponding acids, negative ions. Let's browse on the different monovalent negative ions. 1 minus or singly 1 minus or simply minus. Fluoride, chloride, bromide, iodide. And the polyatomic ions nitrate, nitrite, bicarbonate or hydrogen carbonate HCO3 1 minus, bisulfite or hydrogen sulfite HSO3 minus, hypochlorite OCl minus, permanganate MnO4 minus 1, chlorite, bisulfate or hydrogen sulfate HSO4 minus, chlorate, bromate, iodate. Meta-aluminate or simply aluminate, because we have two aluminates, orthoaluminate and meta-aluminate. So often people call it aluminate, but let us know AlO2 minus 1 is meta-aluminate, or it can be written as AlOH whole 4 minus 1. This is the true structure, but this is it's okay, we can manage with this for writing formula. Meta-aluminate. Superoxide O2 single minus, hypophosphite H2PO2 minus, perchlorate ClO4 minus 1, perbromate, periodate, hydride. Hydrogen can have +1, hydrogen can have -1. If it is -1, it is hydride. Cyanide, Cn minus 1. If it is Nc, the bonding will be from nitrogen, then it is isocyanide. Cyanate, OCN minus, where the bonding will from oxygen. But if it is from sulfur, we write HCN minus, thiocyanate. This is isocyanate, this is cyanate, this is isocyanate. This is NCO, this is OCN, this is NCO. The bonding will be from nitrogen atom. This is thiocyanate, this is isothiocyanate, that is NCS. Acetate, CH3CO minus, an organic radical or organic ion. Hydroxide, OH1 minus, dihydrogen phosphate, H2PO4 minus, metaphosphate, PO3 minus 1, chromite, CrO2 minus 1, also called CrOH whole 4 minus, metaborate, BO2 minus 1, vanatate, BO3 minus 1, azide, N3 minus 1, perrhenate, like permanganate, perrhenate, ReO4 minus 1, ferrite, FeO2 minus 1, hydrogen sulfide, HS minus 1, hydrogen sulfide ion, argentocyanide, this is a complex ion, Ag, Cn in between parentheses, whole 2, and then the square bracket, 1 minus, argentocyanide, antimonite, or SbO2 minus, or SbOH whole 4 minus, antimonate, SbO3 minus 1, or SbOH whole 6 minus 1, bismuthate, BiO3 minus 1. There's so many negative ions having valency 1 minus. So I urge upon you, you need not have to memorize. Just like I call them loudly, I read them loudly, you do at least once. Then start practicing writing formula. I've given you a lot of practice sessions, assignments. You will do that. After that, you will feel very, very comfortable. Right? Then divalent, like carbonate, CO3 2 minus, sulfate, SO4 2 minus, oxide, O2 minus, sulfite, SO3 2 minus, sulfide, S2 minus, thiosulfate, S2O3 2 minus, manganate. Earlier we talked of permanganate. This is manganate, MnO4 2 minus. The formula is same, but the charge is, the valency is different. Chromate, CrO4 2 minus. This is dichromate, Cr2O7 2 minus. This is oxalate, an organic radical ion, C2O4 2 minus. Zincate, ZnO2 2 minus, or ZnOH whole 4 2 minus. Stannite, SnO2 2 minus, or SnOH whole 4 2 minus. Tannate, SnO3 2 minus, or SnOH whole 6 2 minus. Plumbite in the same way, plumbate in the same way, PbO3 2 minus. Berylate, this must be double L. Berylate. Like BeO2 2 minus, BeOH whole 4 2 minus. Peroxide, O2 2 minus. Tetrathionate, S4O6 2 minus. Hydrogen phosphite, HPO3 2 minus. Peroxidisulfate or persulfate, S2O8 2 minus. I again tell you, you should not memorize them. Just read them maybe once, twice, thrice in intermittent pauses, gaps. Then divalent is not yet finished. Carbide. This is a different type of carbide. C2 2 minus. This type of carbide is called acetylide. You will know there are so many types of carbides. One type of carbide is C2 2 minus, acetylide. Then hydrogen phosphate, HPO4 2 minus. Molybdate, dihydrogen pyroantimonate, silicate or metasilicate, tungstate, titanate, tetraborate. Then let's go to trivalent, 3 minus. Nitride, N3 minus. Phosphate or orthophosphate, PO4 3 minus. What we call phosphate is really orthophosphate, right? Ferricyanide, FeCN in between parenthesis 6, then a big bracket that is square bracket 3 minus. Borate or orthoborate, BO3 3 minus. Oxychloride, OCl 3 minus. Phosphide, P3 minus. Arsenite, ASO3 3 minus. Arsenate, ASO4 3 minus. Cobaltinitride, it's a complex ion, CONO2 whole 6 3 minus. Then tetravalent. This is another type of carbide. That is methanide. That was acetylide. This is methanide. C4 minus. Ferrocyanide. FeCN whole 6 4 minus. 3 minus was ferricyanide and this is ferrocyanide. Dioxide O2 4 minus. Pyrophosphate P2O7 4 minus. Just you mechanically you read them, maybe again and again. Then formula writing, that you know from your class, junior class, that you adopt crossover rule, that the valency of the positive ion is brought as the subscript of the negative ion and vice versa. The charge or the valency of the negative ion is brought as the coefficient of the positive ion. This is called the crossover rule. So that aluminum sulfate has the formula Al2SO4 whole 3. In fact, one formula unit of this contains two the subscript 2 aluminum ions, and each aluminum ion has a charge equal to 3 plus, its valency. And it also contains 3 sulfate ions, and each sulfate ion has a charge of 2 minus, because that is its valency. Similarly, while we write ferrous sulfate, 2 plus 2 minus get cancelled and we remove the bracket, the parenthesis. When there is no coefficient other than 1, then we remove the parenthesis. We write simply as FeSO4. If somebody asks you, why did you simplify? Why did you cancel out? What is your answer? Just because you have learned, your teacher has told you in class 7 or class 8 or class 9, just you have to simplify. You have to cut them. The reason is the formula that we are dealing with in ionic compounds are empirical formula. And empirical formula is representing the simplest whole number ratio between the ions. That's the reason why we simplified. Similarly, this is ferric ferrocyanide. Ferrocyanide is 4 minus and ferric is 3 plus. So they are crisscrossed, and the sign of the charge is not written, only the numerical value are crisscrossed, and the formula ferric ferrocyanide is Fe4 FeCN whole 6 whole 3. This parenthesis 6 and this square bracket 3. You have to write in a very systematic manner. Not that you write like this. You cannot write like this. You cannot write like this. Fe4 FeCN whole 6 like this. You have to put, because this is a complex ion. We will know about complex ions later. So the number of such ions, because each such formula unit will have 4 ferric ion. Each ferric ion has a charge equal to 3 and 3 ferrocyanide ion, FeCN whole 6, 4 minus. So the total charge, positive charge, has to be equal to total negative charge. That is the reason why we make a crossover of the valencies. So that in ionic compound the charge is balanced. The total positive charge, 3 2s are 6, it is 2 3s are 6, 6 plus 6 minus. 6 4 3s are plus 12 and 3 4s are minus 12. That is the reason why we cross over. And this model I used to show in class 9-8, that why we make a crossover. Because the total positive charge, for example, aluminum ion has 3 cavities. These cavities denote the loss of electrons. And the negative ions has these mounts. These mounts represent gain of electrons. Each sulfate is 2 minus, so 2 additional electron. 2 mounts. So to tally, to match the number of cavities of positive ions with the number of mounts in the negative ions, we have to have this crossover. So we need 2 aluminum ions and 3 sulfate ions, so that 6 cavities will match with 6 mounts. No cavity, no mount will remain in excess. So it's a neutral compound, right? So we are going to close this chapter. So let me bring an eye-to-eye contact with you. I have given you a lot of assignment, and I wish and I expect that very seriously you practice the formula. Maybe in each unit I have given 10 formula writing practice, for only practice. You write just after reading once all the positive ions and negative ions, just read once or maximum twice, read out loudly and just don't see, then start writing the formula of one unit. And also I have asked here in this first question, I have asked here to write down the number of ions produced from each formula unit. From each formula unit you have to find out the number of ions produced of each type. So you have to do that. How many positive ions? The subscript will tell you how many, and its charge will be its individual valency. That's it. So this one, and I have given others also. Have a look. B, C, and also we have D, E, F, G. So many simple questions. I mean simple formula writing I have given for practice. You do it, and in the description box below I have given you the entire file. This file converted to PDF and its answer. But promise me you don't look to the answer unless you practice and you correct yourself. Take a red pen and use, look back to the table, balance the table, divalent, trivalent and all that. And you cross, supposing you made an error, you put a cross mark and write once again correctly. So you be your own evaluator, teacher, to correct the answers. Then see how many incorrect answers you have given in the first set. Then you go for the second set. If you find that the formula, I mean the valency table, the ions, the valency you are forgetting, then read once again. Just loudly read. Don't memorize. So if you do that successively, you will find your errors, the number of errors will be reduced, and at the end when you come to G, set G, you will be writing all formula correctly. So with this I conclude this session. See you next time. I have given the link in the description box. You can read directly from the website, or you can download it for a future use. Bye bye.